if I had the confidence that I do now, 10 years ago, I would have been in a completely different place.
Welcome to Motion Matters, where we shine a light on the entrepreneurial journey, sharing real stories of triumph and challenge. Guided by Jamie Tilka, we connect, inspire, and educate. This is Motion Matters.
Hello and welcome to Motion Matters. This is the entrepreneurial podcast where we dive deep into the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur. And today I have a special guest. Her name is Lacey. We first met back a few years ago when we asked her to do some paintings for us. Spouse of a military, has built a phenomenal business all the way from decorating cookies into now doing massive murals all around the States. I'm super, super excited and would like to welcome here. So with that, welcome to the show, Lacey.
Thank you for having me.
So I just want to start off, if you could just kind of give us a little bit about your background, like, 30, 60 seconds of your upbringing, and then what kind of led you into making that decision to enter into the entrepreneurial space, and how did you?
I guess I was born with it because my dad is also a muralist and a great artist, a fine artist. My mom is a musician. So it kind of was just born. I was born like that. And I honed in on the craft since I was a child, drawing and graphite, charcoal, pastel, and never cared to paint. I joined the military, met my husband, and went from working, full time to being a stay-at-home mom. I got out of the Army. And I felt like I lost my identity, just going from working to now being at home.
Mm-hmm.
And going from dual income to now single income, it was very tough for quite a few years. So I tried to find something to do where I could still be home with my kids. And nothing ever worked because nothing really made sense to work from home and make money and be with your kids. So I went to a friend's house and she had some painted letters on her child's room, and they were perfect, cute little themed letters. And I thought to myself, this is something that I could do from home, make a little bit of money. And from there, I picked up my paintbrush and started painting, which is really weird because from never painting to now making a business of it was just, night and day. And it worked out. So social media, I posted on social media, and that's where I got a lot of, other mothers wanting their kids' letters painted. And for years, it was just small. It was letters, shoes, anything I could paint that was small. And I got tired of painting small. So 5 years ago is when I really started to have the confidence to go bigger. And I practiced on my child's wall and posted to social media. And from there, it just kind of blew up. So it's just been a steady growth ever since then. And it's been great.
No, that's awesome. I do remember the first thing I ever heard about you before I knew that you were a muralist was, I think Em had met you at CrossFit or something. She said, hey, there's this girl and she sells these cookies and she's like, they're amazing. And, she turned it into a business and stuff. So I'm definitely going to come back to the mural thing, but was the cookie thing before or after the letters?
Yeah. So no, I painted before I did cookies, but painting didn't bring enough money in.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, I'm like, what else can I do? Like to not have to go outside of the house and work, and pay for childcare. So I practiced with cookies. Like I kept following like other cookiers on social media, and I figured this is something I can try. I think it's something I can master. And just like with painting, I just went ahead and kept practicing, and I got better, and I made a business out of that. And so I was balancing painting and cookies, which, when you have multiple businesses out of your house and you have 4 children, I have 4 kids, and it's just chaos, but it worked for that time being. But no, it was just too much.
Yeah. So
I told you recently, I just kind of stopped.
So you let go of the cookies?
Not 100%. So I now just kind of want to do it for fun. I wanted to like take on an order that would make me happy.
Yep.
And not so much as like I need to make money from it. It's just for me, it's another outlet, a creative outlet that I can do. That's if I just want to take a break from painting. But.
Yeah, you just touched on something that I feel like we just jumped like 10 layers. And a lot of entrepreneurs talk about the space in which they get into, in which they can pick and choose what they love to do, not what they feel like they need to do. Mm. And that's a huge thing. So that in and of itself, I think without even telling a ton of the story, tells people that's a really cool thing that you were able to get to that space. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because it takes, and I know you also did some shoes because you did one for us as a gift too.
Oh my goodness, I did.
Yeah.
Oh man, I've been I did a lot.
Right. This is why I'm pointing this out is
Yeah.
because I think it's really important to let people know also, I mean, there's task saturation, and I think every entrepreneur feels that whether you're running one business or multiples, but it seems to me like you are constantly probing and finding where's the space, where do I want to
My
be?
niche.
Yeah, find your niche and find your sweet spot, but all of them seem to have been somewhat rewarding, right? Because at one point you were selling classes for the cookies, right?
Yeah, that's the most profitable if I were to keep doing. And that's why, mural season is summertime. So that's why I was like, I'm not doing any more cookies for the summer. And I'll probably pick up on classes in the fall when murals kind of start to drop out because exterior, like painting in the cold, that's not really a thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a balance. And now I'm at a place where I can say, this doesn't make me happy and I'm not going to do it. But before I was hustling. It was just hustle, stay up till 3 a.m. working on orders, whether it's cookies or painting, like waking up at 6 to get the kids ready for school. Like there was no such thing as sleep. But no, to go back to that, I'm happy I went through that really, sweat and grind and hustle and no sleep. Cause now I can look back and be like, man, like my husband is like, I remember like seeing you at that table, like, working on cookies or like working on shoes and we're all sleeping. The house is sleeping and I'm still up, but it's paid off. It really has.
Yeah. I'm smiling listening to you because obviously I feel you, and so does so many people that are listening to the show right now. The sign up on the wall that people can't see because of cameras, but it says, are you willing, in order to be the 1%, you have to be willing to do what the other 99% of the people aren't willing to do. And staying up till 3 o'clock in the morning, knowing that you have to get up to get your kids ready at 6.
Mm.
There's a lot of people that are not willing to do that, and they're not going to work through that. That's freaking amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, especially, you're a mother, we have 5 kids, right? And that's another thing that we tell people is like, yeah, we could come up with excuses all day, but for whatever reason, you felt very compelled. I don't know let's ask that question because I think that's very interesting. People, have this with themselves is like, you kind of touched on it, but what would you say you feel like is the number one thing that really drove you to go through what it takes to get into this space?
I'm not insulting stay-at-home moms because I was a stay-at-home mom. I am still a stay-at-home mom. I think I just, in myself, I needed something more. Like I'm not just mom.
Yeah.
So I think to branch out of that, I wanted my own identity outside of just being at home and I wanted to help contribute. So money motivates me. So, knowing that I can help contribute with the family and expenses and not lay it all on my husband was a good feeling.
Yeah.
That, hey, I can be right here next to you and I can help, with whatever else we need or, be your backup. And now last year I made more than my husband, which is crazy.
We follow you on social media,
crazy.
so
Yeah.
I am not surprised. As you know, I was in the Army too.
I never knew I could do that though. It's like going from painting, letters, I probably made like $100 and it took me like a week. Isn't that, and it takes you, but then I can paint a mural in a day and make $3,000.
Exactly.
Like to think about it now, it's like, that's insane. Like I never thought I could do that.
Yeah. Well, I think we devalue what we're bringing to the table too. And the reality is when we all start up, I think a lot of people, you have to start somewhere, right? So you started, whatever you said, $100 or something like that to do some letters, but now you're doing thousands and thousands. You have a huge job coming up. You don't have to talk about the numbers, but I'm assuming this is probably going to be one of your biggest jobs ever. Yeah.
I think it's going to be the most that I'll make. Yeah. In a project. I don't even know how much yet because we're still in the very beginning and it's a turnkey project. So they just want to hire me and be done with it and walk away. And there's a mural there. So there's a lot of figuring out numbers and how much I'm really going to make after it. But I know it's going to be more than my last one. So.
Well, I also know this. If you're just doing rough numbers, if you spend 40 hours doing this mural divided by there minus your expenses, I'm relatively confident you're making exponentially more you would at Taco Bell or Walmart or any other type of probably most corporate jobs that you could be doing. And you get to control your schedule and you get to define the space in which you're working in.
That's
what I mean?
the biggest thing. Like, and that that's a huge reason why I love hustling and staying, like, just perfecting my business and my craft and this niche, is because I don't want to go to that 9 to 5 job. Like, it stresses me out thinking about having to have a boss and having to I only make this much an hour. There's nothing more than that. Or, you have to sell yourself basically if you're in sales. But no, I love what I do, and I love that I'm my own boss, and I don't have to ask permission. I don't have to take sick days. So it's just great.
Yeah, I know. My brother recently, went through some job changes and stuff, and I try to get him into the entrepreneurial space and, be in small business owners, start your own stuff. And so he is, in fact, entering in that space. But he dabbled in it, and then he had this moment where he kind of felt like he needed to fall back to the W-2 job for, for financial reasons. And it wasn't very long before he realized, I don't like this. And I was like, yeah, I know. Like, I work my ass off. I was up until 12 midnight last night doing a 40-second video clip. I told you about that before. But if I want to go to lunch with my wife, I can do that, right? We went to breakfast this morning. Like, I can't do that when I'm punching the clock. You just can't. I want to ask you this, though, because there's so much that we could probably easily talk for 3 hours just on the stuff you opened up with. So, but what I want to ask is, specifically being a mom of 4 children, and you've started multiple variations of your business, when you end up in those moments with the kids where it's like mommy's always working, like, how do you balance that? How do you use that as a teachable moment for them? How do you explain to them? Because I know for us, it's a challenge, because you don't want to not give your time. Your family's precious, but you're also trying to continue to move and grow the business. So, how do you work that? It's
definitely communication. I mean, and our two older ones are old enough now to understand. And so when we go on vacation, it's basically what the money that I made is why we can go on vacation. So I kind of just let them know, like, hey, like, look at all this. Like, hey, we don't have to be really stingy when we're on vacation, because this is why I work. This is why I stay up late. This is why I'm gone overnight sometimes. And they appreciate it. They understand it. And that's another reason why I kind of maybe stopped doing cookies too, because I was at home, but I was still working in their face. Like, I couldn't stop. And they're always like, oh, you're doing cookies again.
Yes.
And so I was like, you know what? This doesn't make me happy. I'm not making enough money for it to be worth it. And my kids, like, when I'm home, I want to be home. And so no, they do understand, like, when mommy's gone, she's painting, she's making money for us to have a comfortable life. And we couldn't do that years ago.
Yeah. No, you nailed on something that I think for people, that nugget right there is something great to share with other people. I tell her recently, we went through some difficult times. I'm very open about the fact that, Em and I, talked about seriously separating because I was grinding so much. She's just like, this is the life you told me when we retire, you're done, but you're working worse. My point is I told her, I said, I retired when I was gone 90% of the home, but I was 100% present when I was home. Mm-hmm. But now I'm home 100% of the time, but I'm only 10% present. And so I love that you brought that out with the cookies, because that's a real challenge for people that are thinking about starting a business with inside their houses. Mm-hmm. When your spouse can see you, when your children can see you, it doesn't calculate. They're like, you're physically here. What do you mean you can't come play a board game? What do you mean you can't sit down and watch TV? Mm-hmm. What do you mean you can't, And so the fact that, you recognize that, that's huge.
Yeah. And that's another thing. And I stress so much on people who want to paint murals, or, another thing similar to what I do is I say time is money. And I know, time is money too. So when I'm away painting, like, I don't take breaks. Like, I paint until that job is done, because I know I want to get back to my family. The longer I take, the less I make, because I already quoted you for this job. So, it motivates me more to, hustle harder, work harder, faster, more efficiently.
Yeah. So back with the children. So have you been able to use being a mom and an entrepreneur? Have you been able to use that as kind of a teachable moment with them, as far as like a business and, teaching them about, cash flow and all these type of things? Have you been able to use that with the children?
No, they definitely love to know how much I make with every project, especially she just turned 11 today. She's actually just like me. She's an artist. She's motivated by money, and she's so young, but she always says, like, oh, I can see this took you about this long. Like, she's really good now when it comes to murals. And I don't know if you saw on social media, I did take her with me on a project in South Carolina.
I did.
She got to see the hard work like firsthand. And she's like, this is actually a lot of work. Like 10 minutes in, she's like, my arms are sore. But I love that she gets the firsthand experience of like, this isn't just a pretty little reel and boom, project's done. Let's go on to the next one. There's so much work involved. And she says she wants to continue and she wants to be a muralist as well one day.
That's awesome.
Because she's inspired by, what her mom does and the jobs that I've taken. We got to go to Great Wolf Lodge for free because I painted there. And so like, they're like, yeah, this is fun. I'm like, yeah, but do you know why? Like, like, oh yeah, I appreciate it. No, it's definitely there's many teachable moments. Whether I'm at home editing reels, they get to see what I'm doing behind the scenes. They're always there.
Yeah.
Seeing everything.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I asked that just because it's easy to keep grinding and not take those moments to explain to them. I mean, you brought up a good point earlier when you talked about, the reason why we're able to take these vacations and have this time together is because I'm making sacrifices here in order to be able to provide for you and the family there. And I think that that's something that's really important because otherwise they become resentful of what entrepreneurship really can provide in the long term. And then that discouraged them. All right. So you did the cookies, you started off with the letters and you did the cookies and now you're doing the murals and now you're going bigger with it. What is the long-term vision for Lacey?
I mean, like Em brought up, like you don't want to be 50 years old still painting like large murals. Definitely in the long run, I know I'll be much more experienced. I'll be, I don't know. It'd be nice to have some kind of maybe courses like the mentor that I paid for. And she's making residual income because there's so many aspiring muralists and artists that want to learn from her. And so I know I'll be in a place in the future where I can kind of just lay back and just teach and make money off of that and not have to be on lifts at 50 years old. But in the time being, no, I'm definitely looking in the next even 10, even more than that years, I'm still going to be painting. Like it's something that I love doing. As long as my body allows me, I'm going to still hustle up there.
I won't deviate on this podcast because I want this to be all about Lacey, but as you continue to grow and the pot keeps to grow bigger, I would love to hear that you're able to partition some of those funds and get into, real estate assets or whatever makes you and your family happy. But being able to, if you haven't read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I know you've at least probably heard of it.
Rich Poor Dad?
Rich Dad Poor Dad?
No.
Holy crap.
I told you I'm so bad when it comes to
All right. I have them. I thought they were inside here. They're outside. We're going to give you a copy of it. I know if you don't read it, share it with your kids.
Do they have an audio?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm the same way. I have to listen to audio. I don't have time. I'm going to summarize the whole book for you in a nutshell. There's way more that can be unpacked, but if your money's not making you money, then you're not going to win, right? Mm-hmm. There's a myriad of different ways in which you can earn money. You can reduce your tax liabilities, be your business versus, 1099 versus, an employee. I won't go into that, but my point is as your pot fills up, that's your opportunity to take that, put it in something that can continue to grow. And just a 10-second version that we got to get back to you is that, I forced my son to buy his first piece of real estate, but he bought it. And because of what's happened over the past year, now this is an anomaly and I understand that, but he's gained in less than 24 months, $100,000 of equity. Wow. So he's 26 years old. I sure as hell didn't gain no $100,000 in 2 years at 26. And so I would love to hear the same story for you because you're doing something you're passionate about. You're doing something you love, but you still want that to grow while you're continuing to paint. And then you can potentially get to the point where maybe you're 40 or 45 and you could stop painting, right? Yeah. I mean, ultimately that would be a great one. But back to your story. You mentioned something that I ask every person that I've been interviewing, and that is you already answered half of the question, which is you had a mentor. But so the follow-up question I typically ask is how pivotal, how critical, how essential do you think that is for somebody to have a mentor? And what value did it bring to you?
Extremely valuable. It was worth, and she wasn't even a lot, but because hers is like a monthly subscription, but she was open for whenever I needed her. And especially when you don't know anyone in your field and you're trying to learn, it's worth it. It's worth every penny because she helped me gain the confidence. She told me, because I had this large mural coming up and I've never painted clouds before, and she's an expert at painting clouds. And I was like, if I join, can you help me paint clouds? She's like, of course. And so
That's amazing.
that's what made me join, is literally because she said she can help me paint clouds. And ever since then, I've just, she's been right there if, I have questions about another project and whatnot. So no, absolutely. And I have other people asking me now, like, I'm trying to, get into the mural business. Like, what can I do? Or like, what are the steps I need to take? So it's always valuable information that can be, given to those who, really want it.
Let's go backwards just a little bit. Roughly, when did you get out of the service and start the painting stuff?
Oh, I got out of this service a long time ago. It was in 2011.
2011?
And I started painting in 2013. So 2 years after I got out.
Okay. So roughly 10 or 11 years ago.
Yes.
At what point did you hire the mentor?
Probably 4 years ago, maybe.
4 years ago. So we'll call it 2020?
Yeah.
Right before the pandemic, maybe?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yep.
So you were painting for roughly 7 years. If you could turn back the clock and have hired her within the first year, would you have grown significantly
100%.
more? I'm making a point.
Yeah, 100%. No, and I always think about it. I'm like, man, what if I would have started this earlier? What if I would have? And honestly, if I had the confidence, because myself 10 years ago was someone who, I even told you, like, oh my goodness, I'm stressing about podcasts because I hate talking. Like, once I start talking, I'm fine, but like, I'm a very introverted person. And if I had the confidence that I do now, 10 years ago, I would have been in a completely different place. Maybe I would have been making residual income now because I'm already in a place to do that. But no, it's definitely in your mind. It's a mind game.
For Em and I, we're definitely been getting deeper and deeper into our spirituality. And I would just say that I just really believe it's all a process, right? And I mean, some of those things you came through so you could be the person you are sitting here today. Mm-hmm. And I think that's just going to help you grow even better, both as a mother and as a business owner and a muralist and all that stuff. But I just wanted to drive home that point because I think I've had many military buddies of mine or reach out and they're like, hey, dude, I see you're doing some decent things. And then if you get to the conversation to the point where you bring up mentorship, because there's a price tag carried to it, people instantly like, well, I don't want to pay that. And I was like, well, then stay stagnant.
Yeah.
Like, we got trained for free in the military. You got trained for free in the military because it was part of the organization we were in. But outside here, if you want to grow faster, are you willing to pay for it to shorten your timeline? And that's another reason why I asked you that question. So I'm so glad that, yet again, at the point, it's somewhat of a rhetorical question, but it's just letting people know the power of having a mentor. It's super, super powerful.
And a lot of artists, I don't know if you know a lot of artists, but the majority of artists are actually really kind of like myself, introverted. We love our little bubble where we get to paint and make money from it. But outside of that is, a scary world. But she also teaches you how to be confident and how to get out there, like as an introverted artist, and she'll give us what is it? Here's your task for today, go out and go here door to door, go to this business and give your information. So it just helps you get out of your stuff that you normally wouldn't do if no one told you to go do it, and someone that you trusted and relied on. So no, it was definitely worth it.
I'm excited to hear you talk about the fact that you're even considering doing some type of mentorship, because after you've been doing it for over 10 years, you're absolutely in the space. And I don't know if you've heard this, but people talk about imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. I never really heard it before, but when I reflect on myself, I say, I think that's part of the reason why I kind of did go slower is because I was concerned that I wasn't what I needed to be. Mm-hmm. But, obviously we've hired you. I've seen your work multiple times. You're every bit there.
Yeah,
you should absolutely do it.
Definitely have imposter syndrome for sure. And stuff like what you were thinking too, or I would be like, why are they hiring me? there's someone way better than me. Like, why are they paying me this much? Like, I just feel like I'm not in a place, I'm not this experienced. Like, how do I have this job? No, it's definitely real. Imposter syndrome is real. But no, you can do it. There's always going to be someone better than you. There's going to be someone less experienced than you. That's just life. But I don't compare myself anymore to other artists, because why would I get stuck in that little
Amen.
world?
You can say that 3 more times.
Yeah, competing with myself is what I say. Like, it's always like, I want to be a better version of myself than I was last year. And I am. As long as I continue to grow and get better, like, I'm doing great.
That's awesome, man. I freaking love it so much. Yeah, it's so good. All right, so we talked about the mentorship. So if you were sitting right now with a group of 10 women that are on the fence and they have some different aspirations, like, do you have a piece of advice that you would give them to help them take that leap?
Literally what we were just talking about. Find a mentor who is exceptional in your field, or someone that you aspire and look up to. Go talk to them. Don't be afraid. And someone like myself, like, stop believing your doubts. Just, what's the worst someone can say is no. Like, just go out there and do it anyways. Do it scared is what I like to say. And I've heard it before too. Do it scared. Because that's what I have to do a lot, is just do it scared. No, honestly, just go after it. That's the only thing I can say is, like, stop doubting yourself, stop second guessing, and just do it. Do your research, look up people that you know that can help you, benefit you for your business.
Again, I don't know this and I'm not asking you to validate it, but I'm sure that you've had times of really low lows where you're like, why am I doing this? It's killing me. I'm spending all this time. I'm losing money. Like, but in the end, when you get to have those wonderful moments where you provided a $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 vacation for your family and you're watching your kids enjoying that, I don't know about you, but for me, it's really rewarding. It gets emotional even thinking about it. So would you tell them it's worth it?
Oh yeah. The hustle, the grind, the no sleep is definitely worth it in the end, because you will, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, you'll look back and appreciate all that hard work. I feel like if something's given to you and you don't have that hard work, like, you don't understand the value, you're not going to appreciate. Your family's not even gonna. I know my kids one day are gonna grow up and look back and they'll understand even more and really be appreciative. Because I remember growing up and seeing my mom work so hard. She raised us 5 kids by herself, and as kids, it's like, you're always gone, you're always working. And now, as a mom and adult myself, I'm like, wow, Mom, like, you're a boss. Like, you did what you had to do, and you have a new level of appreciation. So I know maybe even at the moment, if my kids complain, it's not going to be forever. I know they're going to look back and be like, this is what you did for us.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I saw just recently that you had a special moment with your mom like a week ago, right? You guys were sitting there.
Yeah, we went to Tennessee and Gatlinburg. Yeah, that was great too. And it wasn't like worrying about, oh my goodness, like, I only have maybe like $200 of like spending money. It's like, no, like, this is why I work hard, so I can appreciate these moments and not stress about money.
Yeah.
All the worst thing is having to stress about money. And we've done it for so long. Yeah. It was a paycheck to paycheck for years. That's how I grew up as well, as paycheck to paycheck. Married, we were paycheck to paycheck until I did this mural business. That's when it really was just like a night and day.
I constantly tell my kids, there's only 2 things in life I think that would cause you a tremendous amount of stress. And that's finances and relationships. And if your finances are straight, then you can worry about who you want to hang out with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, so keep your finances, because as I've shared, in other episodes, I was incredibly fiscally irresponsible. I lived paycheck to paycheck too, but it was because I didn't understand money, and I was just trying to provide for my family and live the best life I could, and then figure out how to pay for it later, which is what I think a lot of people do. And that's absolutely, obviously not the right way to do it. And I understand that now. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. But yeah, that's amazing. And it makes me so happy to hear that you were able to have that moment with your mom, because somebody used this word before. I had delayed gratification. Are you willing to sacrifice some now for things later? And you are. And that's why you're able to, be in that space with your mom.
And about like with the kids before as well, like when I said you need to just communicate with them, like there have been times where they're like, "You're going again? Like, how long are you be gone this time? Like, when are you coming?" Like, I always work on the weekends because that's when my husband can watch the kids and I don't have to pay for a sitter. It's just, what's smart is.
Yep.
So I just explained to them, like, in July, we're going to Florida. Like, just understand that I'm going to be working hard until we get to Florida. Once we get to Florida, there's no working, there's no tablets, there's no nothing. I'm not painting. I'm with you guys. And I think it's like what you said too, like when you're present like 100%. But no, it's a balance. But now I communicate with my kids about like, this is why I work hard so we can enjoy.
From what I know about you and listening to everything that you've told me before and stuff, I know you're intelligent. I know you're making some really good, smart financial moves. I would just encourage you one thing is that as you continue to grow, I mean, I know you know this, but I'm just telling you as a third party, just reinforcing is at some point, your value goes up tremendously. You painted something for us 3 years ago that you could probably charge double or triple for that now, with no questions asked, because whether you're a muralist or you're framing in the wall of our house, I tell people, if you provide quality work, if you give a shit, and then on top of that, you actually show up, like, that's invaluable for most people today because you can't get somebody to show up. And if they do show up, they're doing everything half-assed.
Yeah.
So because you're doing quality work, because you care about your craft, and because you're constantly honing it, the ticket price goes up.
Yeah, it definitely has since we last spoke. Like, I've definitely increased my prices. I've been more confident. And it is a learning. You learn as you go. Like, there's been times where I lowball myself because I'm like, they're not going to want to pay this much. And then I just say, and they're like, okay, cool. Like, let's do it. And as I'm painting, I kick myself. Like, why did I say that? Like, and now, especially if it's a job that I'm not excited about, I'll charge more because I don't want to do it. But hey, if you want to go ahead and pay it, then I'll do it. But no, it's like I said, like, you just learn. You're not going to know everything when you first start off, and you're going to have trial and error. And I had a ton of trial and error, but that's what makes you a better business owner. It makes you better with your customers in the future. And
I'm sure you've been around people that have told you about 10,000 hours, right? So 10,000 hours, you become an expert. You say trial and error it's you constantly getting a little bit better, a little bit better. And a lot of people, consistency, that's the one word consistency. But a lot of people aren't willing to stay consistent because they're like, I'm tired, or I want to go out and hang with the boys, or I'm going to go watch this new movie or whatever. And it's like, we don't even watch TV anymore. we haven't in forever. I watch some podcasts, right?
Yeah.
But they're typically either, how do I become better at being an entrepreneur, or, some other type of skill set. So anyway, I totally
that's what I need to implement is our podcast like that. I only listen to crime podcasts.
But that's lazy time.
Yeah.
And that's also,
I don't have Netflix time, unless it's late at night. But then by then it's like I'm tired and I need to be smart and go to sleep. But no, yeah, it is lazy time.
Yeah.
When I'm painting.
No, you got to have some lazy time. I told him, like, I know this is silly, but I like watching the reality shows because
me too. It's my trash TV. I love trash TV.
I like watching the ones that are contests, and I like seeing people win. I think that's what inspires me, right? I see these people and I'm just so happy for them. I kind of want to leave. I asked about the mentorship, but I want to ask you this one question before we kind of, start wrapping things up. So if you had one piece of advice that you could go back and tell yourself or tell somebody else, we talked about mentorship. That aside, I'm saying, what is the one thing that you would have done differently?
To go back?
Yeah. Let me give you an example just to maybe spark some things. I tell people when they ask me that question, if I went back and started all over, I would have hired an accountant day one. And the reason why is because I like math and I'm good at math. So I was like, I got it. And then I filled up the proverbial shoebox with receipts. 3 months turned into 6 months, 6 months turned into a year turned into 2 years. At some point, it wasn't salvageable because so anyway, my point was if I could go back and do it again, I would have paid for an accountant straight out of the gate. I would have borrowed the money if I had to, just because. So I'm saying, if you go back and you think about day one of you selling one of your letter sales, all the way through the cookies, all the way through the murals and everything that you're done, is there anything that you would have done that would have maybe helped you operationally do better in the beginning?
The beginning, honestly, it wasn't big at all. Like, it was just like a small little craft in the house. So like, I feel like accounting wise, it didn't really matter to me. But if we go back 5 years, and I can go back 5 years when I started this business, I definitely would have hired a business. I don't know if you say it, consultant. Yeah. Or no, honestly, I hate the business aspect of, I just want to paint. Like, and I don't even care to go back and forth with customers. I just want someone to hire me and I can paint, show up and paint. It's the business side that I don't like, and it stresses me out. And when you talk about taxes and accounting, it stresses me out. So yes, if I could hire someone to handle that whole business side, that would be amazing. It would have taken a lot of stress off of me, where I could just go paint and enjoy doing what I actually love doing.
Does somebody do it for you now?
No, I still do it.
Can I make a suggestion before we go off air?
Yeah.
Find that person. It's Monday. Call at least 3 to 5 people before the end of the week. Find that person, ask them what the price is, and put that in your next mural. That's it. And here's what I'm trying to say, because our mentor says the same thing that you just said, but he says it from the reverse angle. Mm-hmm. He's like, I don't want to do that shit. I'm going to pay somebody to do it. And I'm like, you're right. Like, and there's things that I do like to do, but I don't have the time. So just pay somebody, like mowing the lawn. Mm-hmm. I still do it once in a while because it's relaxing, but otherwise I'm not going to do that. Why would I not pay somebody $100? I'm just saying, if somebody to run your backside business is going to cost you $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, I'm saying that can be baked into your murals. And to your earlier point, you're at the point where you can command those prices. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's just my friendly advice for you to consider is like, what would it cost somebody to run that for me? And then I'm going to bake that into the price. And I think that if you can cover it, now you take that away and you can literally focus 100% on what you want to do, which is, you just said, I love painting.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. Okay. Do you know anyone? You can give me their names after.
Actually, I do have a couple people in mind, and I'll send you email. So, all right, with that, we'll kind of close everything up. I'm super grateful for you coming here, but I want to give you an opportunity. So hopefully, as this gains traction, there'll be more and more people that see it. So how can people get a hold of you? What's the best way? If they want to hire Lacey tomorrow as a muralist to do something, how do they contact you?
I'm pretty available on all my platforms immediately. So whatever's easiest for you guys, you can reach me at my email. It's laceycrime@yahoo.com. Or my social media, Facebook and Instagram is the same, Lacey Crime Art. And my website is laceycrimeart.com. It's the convenience of having a last name that no one has. I can do whatever name I want.
Yeah. And spell Lacey just to make it clear.
Lacey. And crime, like you actually committed a crime, that word.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much for being here. I'm really grateful for it. I can't wait to see where everything goes. And I'll definitely be sending you some leads for your business side.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Lacey.
You're welcome. Bye.